It seems like Toasting the Classics is quickly building up a smoldering mini-suite of episodes on dystopian literature. This time, we're shining a flickering torchlight on 1953, a time when Americans feared nuclear holocaust and the fires of totalitarianism from both the left and right. Can you imagine living in a time like that? In Fahrenheit 451, Ray Bradbury stokes the flames of an ancient nerd paranoia that the mob is coming for your books. The novel is replete with metaphors of fire and flame, kind of like this intro. So our choice of drink was obvious. Our lawyers have told us that we can't recommend you do this at home, but we've got amaretto, Everclear, beer, and open flame to produce shots flaming Dr. Pepper. We'll do the performance drinking for you, so sit back and imagine early Cold War America. It's time for episode 24 of Toasting the Classics, Fahrenheit 451. Are we rolling? Is this episode 24 now?
24,
the big 24.
So
we're going to be covering the Kiefer Sutherland television classic, 24.
Yes.
No, that would not be. I've never seen that.
That'd be terrible.
Maybe that's good.
Never seen it either.
Okay. We're going to get a little risky today.
Yeah, how so?
The drink is going to be a little more risky.
You've got a lot of stuff.
Are you ready for it?
No, not really.
Are you ready for it?
You've got a lot of equipment there. Well, let me do the formal welcome. Welcome, everybody, to Toasting Classics, episode 24. I am Clint Lanier.
I am Dave McArthur.
And this is the podcast where we...
Take a classic. In this case, read
a classic. Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, we read something that people call a classic.
Right.
And we decide whether we agree. And whether it is actually going to continue being
because our opinion matters. By
That's
God.
Right.
My mom said so.
Did she? Okay.
Yeah.
That's
actually,
good.
she said it didn't matter at all. But anyway, so today we are going to be talking about the 1950-something or other.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Ray Bradbury.
That's an even better
classic.
name. I like that.
Fahrenheit 451, or 451 as I've heard some people call it.
Do they ever discuss why it's called that in the book? He says one time that number is symbolic. 451 that he has on his uniform is symbolic. But do they ever say...
I think on the book cover or something. Isn't that?
Because I definitely was like, I had heard people like say at various points that what it means.
Right. Well, why don't you just say what it means?
I think it's the temperature at which paper burns.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Like,
okay, so that's what people had told me over the years.
Yeah.
Combust, yeah. So that's what people had told me over the years, and I just kind of, took them at their word. But then as I was reading, I was like, I'd kind of like to have independent verification from just what some dude told me in high school.
So do you want to summarize the book for those who might not have read it?
Yeah, sure. So this is my first time ever reading this book, actually.
Interesting.
It's I think it's just widely read in schools and stuff like that, as is evidenced by the fact that when I went to go try to find it, nobody in town had the book. Every place had the Cliff Notes of the book. You could get it at Coas, you could get it at Barnes & Noble, but you could not get the actual book. Yeah, so essentially it's a dystopic future. I think it's supposed to be the future. It's unclear that it's the future. It seems like the technology of the 1950s, nothing has changed technologically speaking.
Well, no, I mean, he tries to, there's some things, jet cars, for example.
That's true. He does refer to it as a jet car.
Fireproof houses. Things like that.
But it almost seems like a parallel, like an alternate history.
I think it's more like when people thought of the Jetsons. I mean, they were very kind of like elementary in what they thought of as the future. We're all wearing like Mylar suits, for example. But
he talks about, for instance, the guy's teaching an English course. Mm-hmm. The one guy that he meets, he says he's teaching an English course on drama, everything from but it was like from Shakespeare to Eugene O'Neill.
Faber, you mean?
Yeah, Faber says he was teaching a class on everything up to Eugene O'Neill, and I was like, okay, so when would that be? That'd be like in the 20s, right? So if he was teaching O'Neill, he must have been teaching.
Well, I think he was.
He's supposed to be 40 years ago.
But the author had to use people we knew. He couldn't talk about authors that we.
But I think if you do the math, it kind of works out to being like at most the near future, maybe the 60s or something like that from the 50s. I guess. But anyway.
Yeah, maybe.
So it's a very strange, hard to nail down.
Well, wait, hold on. Let's back up a little bit because way to figure this out is all of the professors got fired about 40 years before. So if they got fired in like the 50s. So that would be like the 90s or 2000s is what we're looking at.
Could be. Like that.
Depending
on how you look at it, right? He might have been teaching up to O'Neill, but up in the 50s. Yeah. I don't know. It's a little hard to figure out. It's kind of like 1984. Yeah. It's hard to figure I was going to say it's hard to figure what year it is. That's not
really
100% true, but it's hard to figure where. I guess what I mean is it's hard to figure where this history. It's hard to figure out what the split. Essentially, it's kind of like what was the last thing we read where I said plot was not like the big part of the book.
It's very similar in this. It's kind of like it's a guy who works as a fireman, which is somebody whose job, because of the invention of fireproof houses, the job has become destroying books,
right?
Keeping people from reading books. And he works as a fireman, but he meets a girl who sort of tips him off to the idea that maybe that world is not everything that it's cracked up to be, and he sort of has like a American Beauty style awakening, that leads him to see the world differently, and gets mixed up in almost sort of like a resistance movement. Runs away, gets chased by the firemen and by dogs and by
police,
helicopter drones. I think like they're like helicopter cameras. I was like, that's a drone. That's like that's pretty,
seems like it,
that's pretty prescient.
Right.
You know, you're doing a pretty good job there, Mr. Bradbury. But runs off and kind of joins the resistance. I think in a way. I don't really know how much it's supposed to be that they're actually like an effective resistance of any kind. But they're sort of trying to preserve the books.
Right.
At the end of it, that's the plot.
Well, because they could use the books when what happens at the end happens. Spoiler alert. Which is a war.
Sure.
The atomic war, the impending atomic war, which everybody was kind of obsessed with in the 50s.
Yeah, well,
and
good
it
reason.
Levels everything, and so now they can give up the books. Now they have a reason to use the books because it'll teach them.
It's kind of like what happens at the end of the Time Machine, the movie.
Yeah,
where he takes
exactly.
the books to the
That's
future.
exactly right. Yeah.
So it teaches everybody again. It's very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So had you read this before?
No, my first time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my first time.
Well, that's kind of cool. And I think we can both agree that people consider this a classic.
I think so, yeah.
This is
absolutely.
appropriate to our format because this is widely considered a classic, and I think it's something I'd never read for some reason. Probably a lot of people is in the same boat, thinking they should have read this but hadn't read it. And it's a breezy read.
It's not a long book. It's like 60,000 words, 200 pages.
Words, whatever that is, about 200 pages, I ended up listening to it. I could not get it anywhere in town, and I didn't have enough time to wait for Amazon to send it to me, and I hate reading on my Kindle. So I actually got it from my childhood library back in Fairfax. I still have a card there, and they do Audible books.
Oh, wow.
They do audiobooks. So I got that for free and listened to it on that. And I thought it was pretty ironic, actually.
That you were listening to it?
Part of the book is like
seashells?
people don't read anymore, and they just listen to things. And here I am listening with my little seashells.
Yeah, with your seashells, right.
So it's kind of. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about the movie? The book.
About the book?
Is there a movie? That's a good question.
I think there was. Yeah, I think they adapted it.
There's got to be a movie. I don't think it would be much fun. I don't think that'd be a very fun movie to watch.
Let's see.
There's a 1984 movie also.
Yeah.
And that one's not a lot of fun.
I think it's interesting that you picked this book. I didn't know anything about it either.
I did not intend for it to be topical in any way.
Oh my God!
Ends up being kind of topical.
This is. Yeah. Please read this book. I mean, please read this book. In the time that we're living in,
Ray Bradbury
with the cancel culture, the political correctness.
Not even just that though, but Ray Bradbury thinking that the pace of technology overwhelming our literacy. Was a problem in the 1950s. Well, and his head would be spinning.
Our attention
today.
span.
Yes, exactly.
Because in his future, people don't read books anymore because they only have about a 15-second attention span. They like bright lights and loud noises and eye candy.
Every time,
so they don't want to read, right? I mean, are we not living in that? My children can't watch. They cannot watch
like a feature film.
Yeah. I mean, or like what we used to have was a 30-minute, television show. Right? It's hard for them to sit for a 30-minute television show.
I have had I think we've talked about this before, but I have, what ends up being kind of tough to enforce, kind of a draconian policy about like video games and internet access. And so I have noticed my kids can watch things and like read a book in a way that I think a lot of kids have a problem with. But I end up feeling like a really mean guy because every other kid is playing Fortnite all the time and stuff. And I'm like, no, I just don't think that's healthy.
Yeah.
I know I grew up playing video games. I don't actually hate the video games, but it's a question of attention span, but it's also a question of like dopamine hits from the little rewards you get when you beat something in a game and stuff like that constantly, and I just don't think it's healthy.
Well, you're probably right.
So,
I think absolutely you're right. But so I think it's completely topical for today. It really is, man. And we sort of talked about this when we talked about Spartacus, the cancel. Well, it is cancel culture, but not just cancel culture, but the censorship. The censorship that we're kind of living through, we're seeing today. And so he wrote this as a response to McCarthyism, which again, kind of like Spartacus, right? Which is funny because it comes back around, right? So you've got McCarthyism was total right wing, like uber
right.
conservative.
And we've argued that.
And
Horseshoe theory?
Oh, yeah, where they come back around.
Yeah, it's like the idea that when
yeah.
you get extreme enough, you just wrap back around
Yeah,
and you might
right.
as well hang out with each other.
Right.
You know, like it doesn't really matter if you're Stalin or you're Hitler.
Yeah.
You're doing the same stuff to people.
You're
so
absolutely right.
The underlying
Because
political
they both
philosophy doesn't
pretty
really
much
matter.
did the same thing.
Right.
Yeah. So this is a response to, to those policies, but that response today would probably get him canceled or get him kicked off of YouTube or Facebook or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, really odd. But yeah, he was afraid of book burning. He was afraid of censorship because at the time, in the 50s, they were censoring all kinds of books. They were banning books from the library and from schools, and you weren't allowed to read them. And
yeah, that's true. For all sorts of different reasons, though.
Yeah, a lot of
I
it
remember
was
looking at
sex
the list
and communism. Those are probably two of the things.
But
right
also
there.
things on the left, and later, a little bit later. But there were also things on the left, and you'd see these lists of books that were banned. And as an outsider, as just like a open-minded person who reads books, I'd look at it. I couldn't figure out what the reasoning was. There were things like The Giving Tree, that was banned, and I just, what are they? And it was because it was a woman continually giving of herself to a man, and that was the wrong lesson to send.
Right.
Anti-feminist message to send. I was like, that's a stretch,
Right.
to read that into that book. But Huckleberry Finn being banned because of the use of the N-word,
Right.
stuff, which actually. I could see that being uncomfortable in the classroom, especially with young kids. I think college kids could probably grow up and just handle it.
Sure.
But I could see that being an issue at some point in people's lives. But I don't know. There's just things banned all over, and it's the same kind of thing. It's
Right.
whoever's in power has certain things that they want to ban. It doesn't matter where they come
Apparently
from.
so. Yeah.
I was listening to an Economist article today about just the threats to liberalism, and by liberalism I mean like classical liberalism, like what the Economist espouses, and they're from the left and the right, and the threats on the right are sort of like the creeping authoritarianism of like the Trump type people, and like no rule of law and stuff like that. And on the left, it's the banning of people thinking freely and stuff like that. Just but both sides are like eating away at the foundations of like a liberal democracy.
Right.
It's just the kind of upsetting stuff, but I don't know.
Kind of gloomy stuff.
I don't really know what
this is.
I honestly think that the majority. I think the majority of people don't like that stuff.
Right.
I think they don't like those threats to democracy. I don't know what the majority of people think. When I tell people my policy about video games and stuff with my kids, I get a lot of pushback. Nobody seems to agree with me, and I think it's strange. I feel like more people.
Well, have you heard the recent Chinese policy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I don't think that's the state should not be involved in that at all.
That was my point.
No business of the state.
So that's my point. Is China? They control the networks there.
Right.
So they've shut down video game networks
Right.
during the school week. So kids cannot play video games during the school week,
Right.
and they're limited to 3 hours a day during the weekends.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
And not past like 8 o'clock at night.
I think
that's
probably a healthy policy.
Hold on, you could say that's what you're doing, but the point is,
but I'm a traditional Confucian head of household.
But
I can tell people
the state should not have control over what goes on in your house.
Of course not. I mean, no American would ever put up with
how you
that.
raise your children, right?
Actually, I take that back. Some Americans would probably go for that. Most Americans, I think we can agree that we don't want the government doing stuff like that.
Completely, yeah, absolutely. So it's healthy. I mean, I think you're making healthy, good decisions, but you're the one that should be able to make them.
Sure. Sure.
And it comes down to books. The firemen are the people that say what we're allowed to do.
That's a good question. Who does say it? Is it the firemen, or is there some? We're left in the dark about who's in charge.
Well,
presumably there's some government.
I think they're on a government mandate, right? So that's their job.
There's some Orwellian Big Brother government in charge.
So
these could almost be the same worlds if you think about it.
It really could, yeah.
Because there's the constant war going on in 1984.
Right. I was thinking about that.
They're very similar. When was 1984 written?
48.
Okay, so probably an inspiration on this one.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, it
must have been this kind of dystopia, post-war dystopia, Cold War dystopia. This is pretty much what people are thinking about.
Probably so. He was Bradbury was living in a little bit more of a nuclear threat than Orwell had realized in 48.
In 48, yeah, that's true. Do they talk about nukes specifically in this? I mean, they're talking about. Yeah, they talk about the cities getting he's far enough out.
They never use that word, but they're
talking about
what
being
happens.
far enough out that they're not going to get burned. When the war comes.
Well, that it completely levels the city.
Yeah.
That the bombs totally level everything. So
it's unclear whether they're nuclear.
And it's global. Because he's talking about, okay, that happened here, and at the same time, there are bombers on the other side of the world doing the same thing to those cities.
Right. And it's the idea that he talks about what the rest of the world is like. It's the idea, and I don't think we see it this way quite so much anymore, but the idea was certainly then that the United States lived a life that was so different than what other people were living in the rest of the world.
He kind of says
the
that.
material wealth in the United States in the 40s and 50s was above what Europe could do.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Soviet Union. Every place else was in devastation still from the war, but also just economic systems that were making people poor.
Right.
The third world was incredibly more poor than it is today.
But it was our excess and our
But that was what was going to kill us in the end and make them hate us.
That's right.
Which, I mean, I think there's an argument.
That's what got us into trouble because it made us become kind of lazy. It made us become complacent and
there's an argument that
bored,
September 11th, to a large extent, happened because of how people felt about what we're doing over here, the material prosperity and the threats to traditional morality and stuff like that. It's different, but that's a pretty localized view of the West.
Sure.
I think for this day and age, I think for the most part, everybody's living this decadent lifestyle all over the world in the 21st century.
It's interesting for him to see it back in the 50s, though, for him to recognize that America's wealth and so forth is going to be kind of one of the causes of our downfall.
Well, there was all that like moral panic about how teenagers were behaving and stuff like that in the 50s and 60s, and it's just like we don't view the world that way today. Part of that is because everybody's inside playing video games, so we're not really worried about packs of teenagers. Well,
we sort of talked about that in Catcher in the Rye. I mean, that was that's when the invention teenager was invented.
Yeah, the idea of it, right?
And he had this kind of like luxury of downtime, so to speak. They weren't out working at 16 years old; they were just enjoying or going off to prep school and stuff like that, and being kind of delinquents,
Yeah, just like packs of kids and being influenced by all this crazy rock and roll stuff like that, And it was still like that when we were kids, except we were being influenced by rap, so we were all going to kill each other. Right. And then all of a sudden it changed in the 21st century. People do not talk about teenagers like they used to.
Yeah.
They talk about sort of the moral collapse of our civilization, decadence, but it's not because of teenagers. It's just in general, it's just sort of a generalized word Jimmy Carter used, malaise. General malaise.
There's a feeling of malaise.
Right.
That was a terrible Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, it was unrecognizable. If we hadn't just let in with Jimmy Carter, I don't think anybody would have been clued in.
I think you're probably right.
Did you catch the reference to Cold November Rain?
No, I didn't.
He said something about, went outside in the cold November rain. I was like,
oh, I didn't catch that. I'll have to go back and relook
this is the second episode in a row where I've referenced Guns N' Roses. I'm not even that big of a fan, but
he didn't say anything about Welcome to the Jungle.
No,
Clarice today.
No, I don't believe so. So we're going to be doing a little performance art on Toasting the Classics this week. Unfortunately, we are not a video medium, but what I've got,
I can give a play-by-play.
You can give a play-by-play? All right, why don't you do that, because I'm going to go off mic to do my mixology.
Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm going to shut down your mic real quick, just so people aren't hearing it. Is that okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, what he has got is a bottle of Everclear, a bottle of Amaretto, 2 bottles of beer, 2 pints, and 2 shot glasses. So I think he is going to make, he's going to make a bomb. Yeah, he hasn't told me what exactly it is yet. Pouring the Amaretto into the shot glass, pouring it, let's say 3/4 of the way full. And I'm assuming he's going to put a Everclear floater on top of that. And let's see.
Oh, you know what?
Pouring the beer. And he's got a couple of Guinness Blondes, it looks like, with the Maryland Straight. That's odd. We're going to do a bomb, which is just fantastic. Considering the book ends with a big bomb. There we go.
I think I've got an idea of what I'm about to do here, so I can sort of narrate my magic trick.
Sure.
As I go, I'm pouring beer into these two glasses. I've got some glasses from the Bulldog Bar in New Orleans. I don't know if you ever went there, but every Tuesday, or maybe it was Wednesday. It's been so long I can't remember. But they would give pint glasses. You get to keep your pint glass with every beer you had, and they would let patrons design these glasses.
Oh.
So one of the glasses I had, which has been lost to history due to a breaking incident, but they had a list of things, and it was somebody had written up a list of top 10 things that are crazy about New Orleans.
Wow.
One of them was, if the levee breaks, we will all die. No one seems to be worried about this.
Wow.
And this is pre-Katrina. This is in 2003. So people were aware that there was
like
an
a
issue.
year before Katrina.
Oh, I filled that too much. You're going to have to drink some beer. Sorry.
Yeah.
I put too much beer into these. I forgot there was going to be I forgot Eureka.
An insert?
I forgot the displacement
insert
principle of Archimedes here.
Okay.
All right, so
I'll take that one.
You take that one?
Yeah.
A little less beer?
A little less beer.
All right, so we'll have a little sip of this Baltimore Blonde. I'm going to get it down to about, 3/4?
Yeah, that's a good beer.
It's warmed up a little bit while we've been in the studio, but yeah, it's a pretty tasty beer. It's not like a Guinness at all to my taste.
No.
Okay, so next thing that needs to happen is that I need to top off the 3/4 of an ounce of amaretto with just a splash of.
South.
What do we got? What do we got here? What
It's
do you know? What do you
Everclear.
What do you know about this bad boy?
Well, it's 190 proof, which means it's 85% alcohol by volume.
That's how my math works out.
Yeah. This is pure grain alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what the lieutenant colonel in Dr. No would have
I
drank.
need to put a little bit more.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Put even more in there.
I've never had a good experience with Everclear.
Me neither.
It was either Bacardi 151 or Everclear that somebody put into some drinks once when I was in college, and it was just a debacle.
Ugh.
Just an utter debacle.
Yeah.
Okay, so
All right.
now comes the performance aspect.
Okay.
I'm getting out one of these doohickeys that you get, the long-handled Bic lighter that actually
Yes.
just has a regular Bic lighter hidden in the handle. Have you ever seen the inside?
Right.
I'm gonna set these. There's gonna be some fire,
Yes.
and then we're gonna drop them
Yes.
into our glass, and you're meant to shoot it.
Yes.
Okay. As long as
And it is on fire.
the flame is not as dramatic as I hoped
Well, you
for.
can just barely see it. 'Cause
But it
it's-
is burning.
It is blue. So I take this. Cheers.
No, we're not gonna cheers.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, that's terrible.
oh, brother. Whew. Okay.
Okay.
Oh boy. So
Why did you do that to me?
because this whole book is chock full of phoenix, salamander,
Things on fire.
black hair, soot. Every single metaphor is
Yeah.
about fire. So it just dawned on me, this is what we got to do. So what did that taste like to you?
Well, Coca-Cola at the end, right?
Coca-Cola.
What?
This is called a flaming Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper. Okay.
Because it tastes like Dr. Pepper once you set it on fire.
It sort of does.
It
Yeah.
sort of
does.
This one didn't taste as much like it as I recall. There was a bar called the Gold Mine in New Orleans
Flaming Dr. Pepper. Oh, Lord.
where we used to have flaming Dr. Peppers, maximum of one.
Yeah.
It's not something you're going to be drinking
No.
for a long time. All right, so I used up a completely invisible portion of this giant bottle of Everclear, which was the smallest bottle of Everclear
Let's just do
available.
shots now.
Yeah, right, sure. I will actually have some of this if we've got some ice.
Yeah. We do have some ice. I'll get those glasses back out. Hold
Or
on.
we could use the pint glasses if you want. But either way. Yeah, those are better glasses, but they have the cream and the cacao.
That's right.
So used to go down to this bar called the Gold Mine, have flaming Dr. Pepper shots, and then they still had the old Star Wars stand-up video game.
Oh, wow, yeah.
From the 1980 or 79
With
or whatever
the,
it was.
The frame, the
Yeah,
frame
which was an
thing.
awesome game for the time. Like the 3D graphics and stuff
Yeah.
were really amazing. There we go. We're not going to be sipping the Flaming Dr. Peppers for the rest of the night. That's a one-time only kind of thing
Thank
for
God.
guys in their 40s. I don't
Yeah.
think we're going to be doing a bunch of those.
Did you say 40s?
Yeah. Well, you'll be in your 40s. When's your birthday? In 2028. When's your birthday?
I can't even remember. It's so
Okay,
long from
yeah.
now.
So anyway, you'll be
So far away.
You'll be 40. So I'm talking that way already. So I hope you enjoyed that. That's a fond memory from my childhood or youth when I lived in New Orleans. I used to have those a lot.
So what do you think about Ray Bradbury's writing?
I don't like his writing.
I don't like his writing at all either.
I don't like his writing at all. I like the ideas he's talking about.
He uses similes more than any other writer I've ever seen.
So
just
I read a collection of his short stories called The Illustrated Man last summer. Actually, when I was in Alaska, it was what I brought with me.
Mm-hmm.
And every single book is like interesting ideas, right? Like something you could talk about. But it's like the prose, everybody's so flat. The characters, I wouldn't say they don't have any interiority, but it's just like Ray Bradbury thinking is their interiority. It's just like what he thinks about the world and stuff. And it's cool. I like his attitudes about things and his ideas, but yeah, the prose is flat. The world seems overly 1950s, like his wife. His wife in this book.
he can't describe anything
No.
without
Yeah.
similes and metaphors.
Yeah.
And he can't. Well, I mean, I like the way Hemingway writes. Very simple.
Sure.
Very stripped out. It's kind of like raw emotion, right?
I think that's fair.
This was anything but.
Sorry about all this sloshing
That's right.
ice, but I'm having trouble getting like melted, then froze together again into
no
like
worries.
a mass inside.
Probably
There we go. All right. Now we can pour some amaretto, which is Di Serono. I like amaretto. It's good stuff. You like drinking amaretto?
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's almond liqueur, right? I believe.
So gauche of me to pour it for myself first. Oh, it's going to be like a melange of a bunch of gross stuff. There's a little bit of melted water in there and a little bit of creme de cacao that lining the glass from the previous episode.
Melange. I'm going to top myself off.
I said melange. Yeah, what was the word I kept saying? Oov. I kept using the word oov during the episode about To Catch a Thief. So sometimes you give me a drink, I turn into a giant douche. Yeah, we talked about the metaphors. I mean, that's like a big part of it. Do you know what the metaphor of the salamander? Everybody knows the phoenix thing.
Right.
But the salamander, you know that one?
It was a fire salamander. It was one that supposedly like would explode and catch on fire, right?
No, it could go through fire.
Through fire,
They thought that salamanders, because they had the slimy skin, that they could survive in fire. I don't know. You know, it's like the things medieval people thought about animals could have been solved with like just a little bit of actually looking at the animal. Like, pretty easy to test.
So the salamander, by the way, and we should explain things as we're going. So the salamander was essentially the fire truck. It was filled with kerosene,
right?
And they would drive that wherever they were going to. So the way they would burn these books is somebody would report their neighbors. It was always a neighbor that would report somebody that had books, right?
Typical.
Because books were banned. All books were banned. And so the firemen would come in, they'd crash through the front door, they'd spray the books with kerosene, and then they would light them on fire.
And sometimes the people would choose to stay with their books and be burned along with them.
Because they were odd people, they were losers according to their oddities.
You know, I don't know if it's like a fear. You said it was written as a response to McCarthyism. That may be true. I actually didn't get too much about the background of the book. Mm-hmm. But I think it's just kind of a general fear that intellectuals have that, like, it's like Philistinism is going to, like, take over the world. Yeah. That, like, everybody will be like, reading books, that's for nerds, you know? And it's like, I think we all still kind of have that fear a little bit.
I think it's a good fear, especially with today.
It is kind of.
I mean,
but also I kind of think, like, being a nerd is a lot less... It's more popular today. Like, you hear people really just embrace. I remember when I was a kid.
It's more popular if you're saying the right thing.
Well, it's always more popular when you say the right thing.
Intellectual discussions are reduced to 280 characters.
Well, yeah, that's
terrible. You know, and you can't have an intellectual discussion. When was the last time you tried to have a discussion on Twitter or Facebook with somebody that disagreed with?
I stopped.
Why?
I stopped
because it's completely useless, pointless, right?
Do you know what I think is the reason why it's useless? I don't think it's necessarily. I think if you really dedicated yourself to the art form of Twitter, to the 280 character tweet, and I mean, you can break those rules today anyway. You can write something longer with, subsequent tweets. But I think if everybody dedicated themselves to doing it, we could communicate in short blurbs and we could have an interesting conversation. But I think that the problem with talking on social media about controversial topics and getting into discussions of politics and stuff like that has less to do with the limitations of the medium than it does with the fact. So I used to watch reality shows. I don't really watch them, but I'm aware of that reality shows exist. And you always watch them, you're like, why are people fighting so much?
Yeah.
I hang out with people, I don't get into fights like this all the time. And it's because somebody's watching them. When my wife and I started
it's performance.
dating,
it's performative.
Well, it's not just performative.
Interesting.
When my wife and I started dating, we realized if we were around people and we had a controversy between each other, it could blow up into a fight. Whereas if we were just the two of us, we could handle it.
Yeah.
And it's because you get your back up because people are watching you. You don't want to make little concessions to the other person.
You don't want to lose face.
You don't want to lose face. Yeah. You don't want to make like a little bit, try to understand them, like bend a little bit. Oh, I see your point. That's actually a good point what you said, but I still think this, like there's no give and take.
Yeah.
It's just boom, boom, boom. We have to have our point. I think that's the problem with people on social media because they're being watched by thousands of people and they feel like they've got to try to win the conversation.
I don't know.
I mean, yes, it's intellectually limiting to only be able to say.
I think it is. I think so much of it has to do with anonymity.
Well, that's part of it. That's true.
And a disconnect from.
But don't you get in fights on Facebook with people you know?
I stopped.
I used to.
No,
I used to.
I stopped.
I don't do it anymore.
I did it once.
I put
myself out there once, and some people, jumped on me, and I just said, "That's it. I'm not." And this was like 10 or 12 years ago.
You learned a lot faster than I did.
I just I don't comment on anybody's, but I want to so badly. Yeah. I look at it, and I'm like, "Oh, you're complete idiot.
No, you can't do it. Yeah.
But you just can't do it.
And the reason you can't do it is it's because it's as if they stood up in front of a crowd of 1,000 people and said a thing.
Yeah.
And then you say, no, actually it's this. They're going to eat. They're going to go after you. They're going to go for the jugular because you just embarrassed them in front of all those people.
Right.
I realized that at some point. I was like, people don't post something political on Facebook as an invitation to a discussion.
Right.
I kind of do.
I'm weird
like
that. They almost
like
do it as a confirmation, like to
a little bit
to ensure that I'm really. I mean, we do live in echo chambers. You know, I mean, most people, their Facebook friends reflect
sadly
their political beliefs and stuff like that, right?
I think I've said this before on the pod, but I am oftentimes the most liberal person that some of my friends know, and I'm definitely the most conservative person that some of my friends know because they just don't talk to people who are different than them at all.
Yeah.
I've had people just cut me off
Yeah.
for being, and I mean, I think I'm being objective when I say straight down the middle. I mean, in terms of my politics, I sometimes veer to one direction or the other, but pretty much straight down the middle. And if somebody's offended by me, they need to get out more. You know, like I'm a pretty reasonable person. I'm listening to everybody. Like if somebody on one side makes a good point, it's like we said last time or a couple episodes ago, not on a team.
Yeah.
You know, I don't give a DAMN who wins in these little games that they're playing with each other.
I think you say that word.
No, maybe. I don't know.
It's in the Bible.
We spell bad words in my house with my kids. So.
It's in the Bible, for crying out loud.
Well, it was pretty much created by the Bible, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't have that word without the Bible.
But Milton created it. Anyway, this is a lot of what Bradbury's dealing with well in advance. I mean, I envy Bradbury's, like the intellectual time that he's writing this in.
Okay.
Because take yourself back. I want to say this is like 56. So take yourself back.
I didn't write that down, but
I don't know why I didn't either. But
I didn't do my background research. I read the book with very big attention to detail. My background research is spotty on this book.
I did I wrote stupid stuff down that I don't really need, but.
Oh, come on, tell me. One of the stupid things you wrote down, tell me.
Just like the characters' names. I know all of those. Montag, Betty, Faber.
You knew those?
Yeah, I remember.
You're like familiar with the character? Oh.
No, I remember all of those. But
you remember those?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
But what I'm saying is I don't remember when it was written. But I'm just going to say 56, sake of argument.
I think that's a ballpark, right? Yeah.
So 1956, you have things like the New York Post. You know, you have the New Yorker. And these are distributed.
We still have the New Yorker.
We still have them, but the subscriptions are, nationwide.
Yeah.
Okay, not limited to.
If you could have told Ray Bradbury how the newspapers died.
Right.
Like, how,
where
we stand today. Like,
you've got a New York Times weekend edition that probably weighs 1.5 pounds, if not more.
Yeah, sure.
And it's 250 pages, right? You've got real commentary. You don't have, because at the time you don't have like a presidential debate. The first televised one was JFK versus
Nixon.
Nixon, in 59?
I think it's the 60 election.
Yeah. So 59.
50, yeah.
So if you wrote this in 56, presidential debates were like a moving thing. They would go from town to town, debate, or they
were also substantive.
Or they'd be a theatrical release, right? You'd see them like in the theater or something like that.
Oh, that's interesting. I never thought of that. I was literally thinking that Nixon v. Kennedy would have been the first time people saw the candidates. He talks about, that's so weird because he's not talking about Nixon v. Kennedy.
They did.
But he describes it in exactly the way that the debate versus Nixon and Kennedy, it must have been written after that debate.
No, it wasn't.
It must have been.
No.
You know what? I think it might have been a vice presidential debate.
Mildred and her friends?
I think.
Talk about how the good-looking president, that other guy can never be president. Did you see what he looks like?
Yeah. That's 100% the way.
Well, he was just talking about...
The other guy looked all small.
But he was just talking about the superficiality. He was talking about the
fan,
superficiality.
I was thinking that. I was literally thinking of the Nixon versus Kennedy debate.
So, I mean, that's prophetic.
And now I'm trying to remember when that actually happened.
All right. I'm sorry, everybody.
Well, we can talk while we look things up.
Filibust for me, okay?
Yeah, I'll filibust. So I really think that Carthage should be destroyed. I think that this Third Punic War, the sooner it comes, the better.
You're still stuck on the servile war.
The Third Servile War. I know I screwed that up so bad. It's one of my greatest shames.
Greatest embarrassments.
So there's just a host of dystopic fiction that this book reminds me of, and I guess we're saying that 84 comes first.
1953.
1953. So
even
way
earlier.
Before. There's no TV debates in 1953.
No TV debates. I mean, that was prophetic. So he's like, because that's exactly what happened to Nixon. Nixon's ugly.
Yep.
JFK is nice and tanned.
Yeah. It's to the point where I thought he was talking about that.
Nixon was sick during that debate. You know that?
No, I didn't
he had
know.
a fever.
No.
Like he had the flu or something, and so he was like all sweaty and everything. But that's because he was like literally sick.
I swear to God, it sounded like he was talking about it.
Oh man, JFK was all tall and good looking, and Nixon's all shriveled and small and gross.
Yeah. But here's a flip side of that conversation.
Well, hold on. Before we get to that, let me just say that I envy the time he lived in, even in '53. Despite McCarthyism, at least he lived in a time when people debated. Although McCarthy cut off debate, that was one of the things about it, is he would not listen to debate until, I can't remember who it was, but who finally called him out and said, "Have you no sense of decency?" Who was that? Google me right.
Yeah. Don't tell everybody I'm Googling it. I was going to try to make it sound like I'm super smart, and I remembered it. Joseph Welch.
Joseph Welch. And what was he? What was his?
American lawyer and actor who served as the chief counsel for the United States Army while it was under investigation for communist activities. Okay. The United States Army was under investigation for communist activities.
Yeah, and their lawyer called him out.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So
well done. God bless the lawyers. Those of you who say bad things about us, where would you be? Where would you be?
There are a couple lawyers I know right now that I would, in any case.
The adversarial nature of the American lawyer system is what keeps us all honest.
Is that what it is?
Yes, it's a bulwark of the rule of law.
In any case, but I do envy a time when...
Bulwark, I say.
Oh, well, I call bulwark on that, sir.
That's a load of bulwark.
But you've got a time when people would write, their op-ed pieces would be 2,000 words.
Sure.
3,000 words in response to a previous 3,000 word
These days, if I read somebody's opinion on the internet and it doesn't have a bunch of spelling errors, I'm like, oh, this guy must be a genius.
Well, nowadays they debate with memes, which are complete. Yeah. I would like to someday. I've thought really hard about this, about doing like a YouTube show that just shows these stupid memes that people, especially political memes, obviously, that people put up on both sides, and all I do is explain, because this is what I do for a living. I'm a rhetorician.
Oh yeah.
Explain why this is stupid. This is this is the problem with this argument.
Yeah.
And why this is dumb, and why this person is dumb.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
The problem is, I would probably be suspect and canceled, even in my job.
If you hit
for doing
everybody left and right,
it doesn't matter though. It doesn't matter. Then I get both sides coming at me.
Yeah.
I did learn that a while back. I used to write. I was asked to write editorials just because of what I do and stuff for a local paper, and so I did. And so I would hit like the city council and the mayor and everything on everything that they did. I didn't care who they were. In our little town here, our mayor and city council they do not run under a party, so they run just as themselves.
Okay.
But I would get hate mail from both sides, and I mean like weird hate mail to my job, and I'd get them from both sides saying that I'm a communist or saying that I'm alt-right or something like that. And it dawned on me that doing something like that today, like writing this op-ed, kind of like writing a post on Facebook, you are not changing minds. All you're doing is strengthening positions on both sides. You're getting the other side to dig in against you, and you're getting your own side to cheer you.
Battering someone into submission in a conversation about something can be an effective rhetorical device.
Could be.
To win, right? To win like let's say there were 30 people sitting here watching
the debate, but if you don't change minds.
And I just browbeat you.
Yeah, then what does it matter?
People, I think, are surprised. Like, I think a lot of people on the left were surprised. All these people went out and voted for Trump. Yeah. And it's like, well, you beat them into submission. Yes, you're smarter than they are. You're more articulate than they are. But you didn't change their minds. But by talking about how dumb they are.
You also mobilized them by pissing them off.
Well, that too. But they couldn't believe that people's minds hadn't been changed. Yeah. It's like you don't change somebody's mind by insulting them, and you might shut them up. You might win. If you see what I mean, you might win in the eyes of other people watching you, but that person's mind didn't just get changed. I don't know how to change people's minds, by the way. I do not profess to knowing that secret magical art because, I could talk to somebody who doesn't want to vaccinate their kids all day. Yeah, I would never convince them. There's nothing you can do. I think maybe you can nudge somebody.
I think there are certain debates that you can't really debate. I think things like abortion, belief in God. There are certain things that you just can't. Climate change.
So I've debated. I wouldn't say
man-made climate change, I should say.
So it depends on what you mean by debate. In terms of having an intelligent dialectical discussion about someone's belief in God, I've had conversations with people who were believers. I don't know where I stand on that spectrum, but I've had conversations with people who are believers, and as long as they were willing to talk to me, I felt like we were having a fruitful discussion. I'm not trying to. I don't have a position. I'm trying to dissuade them.
I wasn't saying debate. I was saying change their mind because that's kind of where you started from. I don't know how to change their mind.
Where I'm coming to with this is I think I can, and this would only be possible if it's a belief that could be shaken in some way. If it can't be, then it's
that's sort of what I'm saying.
Not just because of their feelings, but because they actually think they're right. Mm-hmm. I think you can nudge somebody, even in a very if you put a spectrum from 0% to 100%, and this person is like 80% they believe in God, you talk to them, maybe you can nudge them to 79. But by really being open-minded and talking to them, hearing them out, what are their reasons, I think sometimes people are aware that they're having trouble responding to some of your criticisms and things like that, and it does make them think a little bit more, which maybe doesn't dig them out of their position.
I think that's that's actually a really good point. Like in my case, there are certain things that you can't talk me out of, like my belief in God, for example.
Right.
But if you stump me,
you'll think.
I will go and research.
Right.
And I'll look it up. Chances are I will find the answer to whatever it was that'll satisfy me. And you know me, I'm not one of those people that would come back and say, oh, by the way, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, some people are just useless to talk to because of their personality.
Sure.
But some people you can talk to if they're listening to you. You're right. If I'm talking, I mean, I've talked to people who had very firm positions on things, and it made me go research.
Yeah.
They're so firm. Like I had a buddy growing up who was a creationist. Mm-hmm. And we had so many conversations about it. He was so firm about it that I was like, why do I think that this is not right? You know what? I'll look into it.
Is radiocarbon dating really that wrong?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was just nothing that the people said was particularly persuasive at the end of the day. But I was just kind of like, all right, I'll look at my ideas again. Like you want some more?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, goodness gracious! All right, how's that Dr. Pepper treating you? Feel okay?
Yeah,
you feel okay?
Feel all right.
I was at this party this weekend, and an older surgeon colleague of my wife was feeling his oats for some reason.
Really?
Had a beer, slamming competition with another guy.
Oh, geez.
And I was looking at him, I was like, I haven't actually slammed a beer in about 10 years. And so he was like, here, take a beer. And so we had a chug off. And I was like, wow.
What'd you use? Did you shotgun him?
We actually originally picked up, I got a Corona.
Okay.
And I got it, and I picked it up, and I was looking at it. I was like, this is a 7-ounce Corona. This is not. So I went back to the well and got myself a.
So you didn't cheat?
I don't remember what it was. No, I didn't cheat. But it was really obvious. As soon as I picked it up, I looked like a hobbit. Wait, no, other way around.
Other way around.
Yeah. No. What's bigger than a hobbit? Are there creatures that are bigger than hobbits?
Well, it could be a troll.
Like an ogre. Look like a troll holding a regular-sized Corona. So I did recently chug a beer, is all I'm saying. So this is not my first beer chugging.
Did we get off topic at some point?
Well, we're talking about the drinks that we're drinking.
Oh, okay.
But yes, we got off topic on the 1957, 56, whatever it was, novel.
53.
Fahrenheit 451.
53 as we found out.
What is 451 in Celsius? When this goes to Europe, do you know it's actually called Celsius 227?
Shut up. That's awesome. Yeah, I love it.
I mean, people just get confused. They look at the book. They're what the heck is Fahrenheit? Let's throw it down. So have you heard of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl? The concept of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
Yes. What is that?
So it's like Natalie Portman's character in Garden State, Zach Braff's movie. Did you ever see this?
No.
It's actually a pretty good little movie, but she's comes into his life and changes everything because she's so wild and crazy, but she's also very pretty and
You're going to
they get together. Yeah. This is what Clarice is. She's like the early version of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl. And then she just disappears.
Yeah. She dies.
I guess she's killed, right? I guess the fireman got her?
No, she's run over.
She's run over by the jet cars?
Yeah, she's run over by a jet car doing 70 miles an hour.
My God, 70 miles per hour.
It's pretty fast.
Can you imagine a ground vehicle that could go 70 miles per hour?
Well, they went up to 100.
Yeah, 100. I mean, that's just, I actually think that human blood boils at that speed.
Every time I read her name, I was saying it like
Clarice.
Hannibal Lecter. I really
can you still hear the lambs, Clarice? That word,
I won't go,
that name is done. I had an aunt Clarice, born in 1918 or whatever, and they don't name people that anymore.
And then Mildred. You know what
Mildred.
So okay, so
woof.
Did you? Okay, if you picture characters, the character I pictured for Mildred was. Did you ever see The Green Mile?
No.
With Tom Hanks.
No,
the Tom Hanks movie.
I never actually saw it.
You should watch that. It's a fantastic movie. Anyway, the warden's wife is crazy. She's got some kind of sickness, and she's a famous actress. I mean, she's been like a character actress or actor. I just can't think of what else she's been in, but that's who I pictured for Mildred because she's sick in the movie The Green Mile, so she's got super pale skin.
Okay.
And she's like super skinny, like bone skinny.
Bonnie Hunt?
Yes,
Okay.
Bonnie Hunt. I think so. Yeah. Try to find a picture of her in The Green Mile.
Okay.
And you'll kind of see what I'm getting at. She's blonde and like super pale skin and super skinny, and she's also completely crazy.
Well, she's usually crazy and things. She's kind of like a character actor.
Yeah,
for
yeah, she
sort of
is.
neurotic because she was like in Jumanji, is what I remember her from.
Yeah.
She was kind of like the neurotic.
No, that's not Bonnie Hunt. Then
Yeah, it's Bonnie Hunt.
Well, I know, but the actress is different. Okay, that's Tom Hanks. I'm saying the warden's wife, not Tom Hanks's wife in the movie.
Okay.
The warden's wife, who is also another famous character.
I know
actress.
who you're Patricia Clarkson.
There you go.
Yes, she's famous. She's in a lot of stuff. She's still in things. She was recently in something I watched. She's a really good, kind of like a character actor,
Yeah.
but not as much as Bonnie Hunt. Bonnie Hunt's.
But
more-
that's who I pictured for.
I was
some
going
reason.
with like Ethel from I Love Lucy, or the wife from
Well, I saw her as like,
All in the Family.
you know what's funny is I saw her as kind of the product of Mother's Little Helper.
Sure,
you know?
it's just TV that's
Taking
the Mother's
pi-
Little Helper.
Well,
But
no,
she's also taking pills,
sleeping
that's right,
pills
yeah.
all the time, and so he talks about her skin being all drawn back.
You didn't do the episode with me about the Blade Runner book,
No.
Do Androids Dream of Electric? But did you listen to it?
No, that was a summer Clint.
right.
If you ever watched Seinfeld, summer camp Clint. You
Oh,
watched Seinfeld?
no!
That
but
was
I
a
know
summer
it.
camp, George.
I get it. Yeah, no, I hadn't seen that, but yeah, no, that was the episode with Jay. But it was the wife in that one is very similar, very much so, and the book is after. So it's like you can almost see 1984 goes into this one, which goes into Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. So
Interesting, yeah.
similar. I mean, there's like a nuclear war, like all the same.
Yeah,
kind
a lot of the
issues.
same stuff,
The
yeah.
TV, the thing where they're all mesmerized by the TV,
Right.
is very much in this one.
Right.
So they're similar. I was actually. Did you ever read The Handmaid's Tale?
No.
So that reminded me of that too. It's a very similar book. They never really get into how the world got so screwed
Yeah.
up. Like what's the source of why did things change so much?
It seems to be more policy than people,
Right.
right?
Well,
and that might be the important part.
People make policy.
Yeah, but people go along with policy. And
Right.
people think that policy is a good idea, right? And so,
Yeah.
it's a good idea to to censor books and all this other stuff. And
Do you think there's an idea? So
I mean, like the people
for a
that do it are
society
just
to change,
faceless.
for a society to change.
masses.
I know what my answer to that. I'm answering my own question, asked and answered. So for a society to change, like you said, there's got to be people that make the policy.
Yeah.
So who does this society benefit? Who are the people that are like in charge of this society who are hoodwinking everybody else? And I think the answer is the captain. When he's talking about books, he knows all his books.
Oh, Betty.
Obviously, he's
Yeah.
He's
read all of them.
Obviously,
Yeah.
he's read all these
Right.
books. So I think he's part of the elite class that's
Right.
still allowed to read the books and is controlling everybody else with all this dictatorial.
Now, see, I wondered about that because it's odd. Like, how do you read the book without getting affected by them? That's the whole point. Like, even one of Mildred's friends, when he reads that poem, she breaks down in tears and starts crying, right?
Right.
And the other one gets all hysterical. I knew this would happen. Blah blah blah.
I
So I
think-
mean, there's an effect that these things
Right.
have, and that's what they want to tamper down, right? They want to make sure that people aren't sad or whatever. So that's why they burn the books.
I
So
think there's
Betty-
always been an idea that controversial books don't harm the elites. That the elites, because they're in control of everything and they have all the power, they can read these controversial books and they're just like,
Yeah.
okay, but I'm the one
Okay.
that, yes, you're pointing out
Or-
all these things about my society, but I don't care.
Unless they are like fanatical, unless they're zealots. That's the word.
Right.
Unless they're zealots, because
But did Beatty strike you as being a zealot?
yes,
He struck me as being complicit and
Well, I think-
content to just
I think
not care.
that he had to have been. I mean, because you think about the people that carried through like the final solution, that knew what was happening.
Right.
They had to believe so firmly in the motherland or the father, whatever the hell they called it, and
I
the
remember-
Third Reich and the final solution and everything else. They had to believe in it
I remember
so
hearing an
much as to
anecdote.
be zealots.
I remember hearing an anecdote about Himmler going to a concentration camp and looking through the window while people were being gassed and literally having to walk away after like 60 seconds and just being like, I don't ever want to see this again. And yet continuing to be the zealot who's creating
But
these
see,
policies.
I don't know.
Because the guys that are there, the guys that pull they don't care.
Well, that's the
They're
difference.
Not, they're not
no. That's
political.
That's the
they're
difference.
just
though.
murderers. They're just the same guys that
But see,
murder,
Himmler
you know?
wasn't a zealot. Himmler was an architect. Himmler created the zealots. Himmler and Göring.
But he must have been a true believer, is what I'm saying.
I don't know.
I think the guys that were actually out there, the guy that actually points a gun and shoots a child,
Right.
you know, or the guy that actually puts someone in the gas chamber, is just a guy doing his job. It's the banality of evil, right?
There's
the banality
that
of evil. It's like
there's that it's kind of a meme now, but the useful idiot thing.
right. Right.
I mean, the Maoists, for example, Mao knew what he was doing politically.
Right.
The Maoists reacted to their belief in him
Right.
and went out and did his bidding.
Yeah.
And I think the same could be said for Hitler. Hitler and Göring and Himmler and all the rest of them, they were architects and they knew what they were doing, and they manipulated the people below them to become zealots. They were useful idiots that would believe in what they were doing.
But I'm saying on some level, like they would have lacked the, I hate to use this word, but like
conviction?
courage.
How about
courage,
conviction?
But like the fortitude to do the terrible things they're being asked to do.
Who, the underlings?
The underlings that, no, I'm saying Hitler would
and
have
Himmler?
lacked the intestinal fortitude to actually murder a human being face to face.
You're probably right.
Responsible for the deaths of millions of people.
well,
How many people
that-
did Hitler? Well, Hitler probably killed some people in
That's
World
what
War
I'm saying
I.
is they're cowards.
Right.
They're
Exactly.
cowards. They're
the
not,
guy-
they're
but the
not
guy-
zealots. A zealot believes so much that they'll do anything
But I think
for
the
cause.
captain, I don't know, it's interesting because I think
mean,
the main character, Montag,
Uh-huh.
I think is almost like he was the useful idiot. But for
At
some reason,
first.
he had the capacity in him to be persuaded.
Yeah.
And why was that?
He just started.
Why was he reachable?
His eyes were open. He was
Yeah,
like
his eyes were
like
open.
St. Paul. His
Probably
his
by a
scales
pretty
fell
girl.
off.
Probably if there wasn't a pretty girl saying things.
16-year-old.
And then here we go. We go.
Whatever.
It comes full circle because he's talking about how stupid everybody is by being persuaded by the beautiful person in the debate.
yes.
But the reason he turns around and starts looking at the society is because a pretty girl told him to.
Well, she rubbed a dandelion in hers.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. So she persuaded him with
Right.
these base methods of persuading people. He didn't go into some debate,
Well, no. I mean, she got him to start questioning things.
but she wouldn't have if she'd been an ugly, sweaty, creepy-looking person like the other guy in the debate, right?
Well, I mean, she was the
With a
girl.
funny
She was the
name
girl
and-
in the white nightgown that was dancing around at night, which is just weird, right?
to attract anybody's attention, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I think, it's a good book. I think people should read it. Oh, this has come down to me.
Surprise.
Shocking thing, huh? Or a surprising thing.
Yeah, go ahead. You go first because
I guess just generally speaking, and this is a lame surprise, but generally speaking, how prescient it is.
I think I got to go with the same thing.
How you picked this. I don't know what made you pick this, but I read it not knowing what the heck it was.
Yeah, me too.
And then by the end of it, I was like, everybody needs to read this
I
now.
do think so, yeah.
Like everybody needs to read this
Yeah.
and say, and understand this is where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
We could be going that way, very quickly and very easily. That was a huge surprise, and it's a bit unnerving.
Yeah, I mean, here's another one, Clockwork Orange. Very similar,
right.
with the youth violence and stuff like that. I think you could almost like create a world where all of these dystopias go together into one shared universe. It could be like, Alex is out there doing the events of Clockwork Orange in the background of this guy's lifetime, which is the world of 1984.
Right.
You could just fit it all together, which
There
turns
had
into,
a lot of
after the
things in
war, which
common.
turns into Do Androids Dream of Electric
Well,
Sheep? I mean, it would be very easy.
You had Akira with the bomb and everything else. I mean,
Yeah, that's
there's
right.
so many, like
That's
this dystopia has a lot in common. The dystopian narrative has a lot in common.
Especially because these are all fairly close in time. We're talking about a period of 20 years between all three of the books, right? So I think there's a lot in common, a lot of the same things people were worried about. I can't do any better than what you're saying in terms of my biggest surprise. I would say, pretty much the same thing, just how much stuff he nailed. But they always get some stuff right in terms of they get some technological stuff right and they get some political philosophy stuff right. But they always the social stuff that they're always wrong about, the changes in how people live their lives. Mildred is obviously a 1940s wife, like a 1940s housewife who just sits there and watches TV and talks to her friends. She's not a person of the 1990s.
Yeah.
Women have not changed in this world.
Yeah.
Women are exactly the same as they were in the 40s and 50s, and these guys could never see those things changing.
That's a good point. Well,
Even when you watch Star Trek.
social situations, you're right. Although I think she and her friends, though, they have to be used that way to represent a very vapid,
Right.
shallow,
Right.
mind-numbed
Yeah.
kind of populace.
I think so, yeah.
And Clarice is, so you have two women, essentially, girl
It's true,
and a
yeah.
woman, and they're polar opposites, and
Yeah,
they
that's true.
represent the two sides of, I guess, Montag, really. One side is the side that he used to be on, at the beginning of the book when he was laughing as he was burning books, and then the side that he aspires to or that he becomes.
That opening line, that it is a pleasure to burn.
Yeah.
Like, it's so funny because it's so true. I used to love putting things into the campfire and like watching the sticks burn and things
but
like
you can
that.
just see him because he's like, he's just smiling from ear to ear.
Right.
He's got soot all over him. He smells like kerosene and he loves it. He loves every bit of it.
Yeah.
And then he meets Clarice and just.
I guess that's what I was saying about the guys that actually worked at the concentration camp.
Yeah.
Probably not a genius. Probably not somebody who seemed particularly zealous about the cause, but might just enjoy their version of burning, which is killing people. Which there are people out there like that.
Yeah, I guess
there's not many people like that, but there are people.
I guess
like
there
that
are,
in
but
this
I can't.
world.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's guys like John Wayne Gacy needed a job during World War II. He would have been happy to work at a concentration camp.
Right. I guess I like to believe that they're just useful idiots. They're zealots who they can convince to go do stuff like that. Based on, like I said, the Mao. For the mouse and the commissars, as we talked about in our very first episode that you all should download and listen to a few times.
You know what? The audio quality is so bad. I really wish people would listen to our later stuff.
But
I'm going to fix that one. I'm going to do like a George Lucas special edition.
Very cool.
And have some extra
Jabba
Imperial walkers wandering by in the background of that
digitized Jabba the Hutt talking to Han Solo. Very cool.
Exactly.
All right. Well,
so are we at the time?
We are at the time.
Is the time nigh?
It is my. I am going to toast this classic wholeheartedly.
We're not going to discuss it. We're just going to okay.
Well, no. I mean, I think we're.
I would not toast Ray Bradbury's writing.
I won't toast his writing.
I would toast his ideas.
His writing style. I will not toast his writing style.
Difficult to get through.
You really have to dig through this. I mean, it might appeal to some people. It doesn't appeal to me.
It's these science fiction guys from the 50s, like Robert Heinlein.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I like his work in some ways, but like, man, the
I like to see a little bit
wooden prose. Like, it's just like the
he's
like
beating you over the head. He would never
these
call
ancient attitudes.
He would never call the sun the sun. He'd call it like
the flaming orb.
The flaming orb. That the flaming orb plopped in the middle of the sky like a
plop.
like a bobber hanging in a lake. Off the, and then he would just go on and on, and then he talked about the child holding the fishing rod with the bobber, and it's just, shut up, just talk about the sun rose, okay,
right.
Let's stop there.
Sun also rises,
right? Unless it's really important, unless it's used to make a point, and that's I guess what got to me. Every little freaking thing was a simile or a metaphor or an analogy, or colorful prose or of some type, and it's like it doesn't have to be like there, if you use it sparingly. You can use it to magnify things, right? Like maybe interactions between people or a feeling or something. But when you use it all the time,
it gets old.
Oh my God, it gets tiresome.
Yes, definitely.
Burdensome. But anyway, as that aside,
not toasting his writing, but as a book.
That aside, I think what we're finding out is things like freedom of expression. I'm not going to say speech. But I'll say expression, are fragile, is fragile.
Like modern dance is very important to you, you're saying.
Freedom of expression. I mean, we talked about freedom of speech, right? You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. You can't say shoot that person holding a gun.
Oh,
However, freedom of expression in meaning that, Clarice was...
Like words coming out of your mouth are not actually special. It's actually expressing your thoughts that's special.
It's the freedom to read things and to express difference. Right?
Sure.
Which was valued in the 60s and 70s, right? And you had both sides at some point tamped down, Bradbury's writing at a time when it was the right.
I think that the value of freedom of expression is still deeply and widely held. I think that people, when they're trying to, as you always say, like cancel culture, I think when people are trying to cancel certain things, I don't think they're trying to do the best thing. They really do loathe the things that are being said and what's being canceled. But they don't realize, like we said last time, that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If you cancel what this guy's saying, what do you say to the guy who comes and tries to cancel what you're saying?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
People say that the Bill of Rights and the freedoms that we have in the United States are just tools of the elites to sort of control things. And I was thinking the other day, like, well, how would the civil rights movement have ever spoken? If they weren't allowed, if the powers that be could just say, no, you can't say things,
Right.
there wouldn't have been a civil rights movement.
Right.
They would have literally just been able to shut them down. It was only those constitutional rights that at the end of the day, everybody in America could agree, no, you may not like what Malcolm X is saying,
Yeah.
but he's allowed to
He's
say
allowed
it.
to say
This
it.
is America.
Right.
You know, there were people that said he should be shut up,
Yeah.
but 90% of Americans, I think, agree and still agree
Yeah.
that that's a sacred right. And it's not just sacred like because it's a religious thing, but because it makes a democracy function. You can't function. You can't have the give and take we need and debate we need without that freedom to speak. And you can't start shutting certain people down. You can't just be like, oh, this person's so reprehensible that they can't say this thing. I mean, there's probably exceptions to that, like if someone's a pedophile or something, you know. But
right,
I mean,
right. Yeah.
those are pretty extreme examples of criminal behavior. I mean, even then, you got Stanley Kubrick's next film after Spartacus was Lolita.
Yeah.
Pretty easy to shut that down on a lot of grounds, right?
Which we didn't mention, by the way.
We didn't mention it.
Yeah.
And I was looking at his filmography when we talked about it. I couldn't believe he made that movie in 1962. Like, anyway, but
well, that's what he does. He pushed envelopes.
yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean,
but I'm glad people are pushing envelopes. Anyway, so I agree with you. I mean, I'm toasting. I got no problem lifting my glass. I think this is something people should read. I don't know if they should read it as like a brilliant work of literature in terms of the writing.
Yeah.
But if you're in a class that wants to provoke thought and discussion, I think this is a pretty good one.
I think so too.
I think this should be read. So I don't know if it should be in a government class or a literature class or what, but something people should.
I don't
read
think
it
any
and they should
creative
talk.
writing teachers should teach this book. But I think
No,
I think civics, perhaps sociology, English, literature. You know,
kind of like Uncle Tom's Cabin is like an well, actually, there's not much to talk about in that one these days. It's not like we're gonna have an argument about slavery, but like the quality of the book and the prose is pretty limited.
Right.
But it just had such an impact that it's a classic, I think. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
All right.
Glass is up.
Glass is up.
We're toasting. We are toasting this classic.
Cheers. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Toasting the Classics. We just talked about Fahrenheit
451.
451. On our next episode, what are we doing on our next episode?
Our next episode, so this was book.
This is
next
book.
episode is a film. I believe you had the choice.
Oh,
you
I
told me
did.
what it was. Oh, we're going.
Shall
All
I?
right.
I'm gonna give you.
I hate this movie.
I'm gonna give you a hint.
I hate this movie
Give
so
you a hint.
much.
Ready? Dun, 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 dun,
And I can't stand this film.
dun, dun.
Like I haven't seen it. I saw it like once a long time
I
ago.
know.
And
I
just
know. It probably
can't stand
ruined
it.
your childhood, I'm sure.
It's called
But,
Raiders of the Lost Ark. I don't even know why it's called
Lost
that.
Art,
Guy's like
art, Raiders of the Lost Art.
yeah.
Anyway, well, that'll be my pick, and I'll come up with something. Just so you'll know, by the way, Dave has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 little things that he had to bring in for his elaborate.
And that I now have to carry home. Yeah.
For his elaborate
Independent
thing. Did you ride your bike?
objects. No, I didn't
Okay,
ride my
good.
bike. Thank God. That would have been too much.
But I'll come up with something a little bit simple. Actually, I know exactly what I'm going to come up with now that I think about it.
Okay.
So thank you for joining us for Toasting the Classics. I'm Clint Lanier,
Dave McArthur.
and we'll talk to you next time on Toasting the Classics.
Peace out.
That's it for episode 24 of Toasting the Classics. For those playing along at home, you'll need some cheap whiskey. Nothing specific yet, but the type you wouldn't feel bad smashing over the head of a Nepalese thug who had you pinned to a bar. If you'd like to get in touch, please send us an email at toastingtheclassics@gmail.com. Send us show ideas, comments, complaints, and let us know which books you'd like to have burned. Check out my blog at theattractivenuisance.com and follow us on Twitter at @ractivenuisance. Our music was written by Michelle McArthur. See you next time on Toasting the Classics.